Well, this is a nice, pleasant your shout from me and my new co-host here, because we've just secured a point against Chelsea, 4 points in the last 2 games, and it's more like it, isn't it? Eh? It's much more like it. This is what it's all about. So yeah, very very quick your shout this one. Just so nice to see some positivity, or to feel positive about things. I'm sorry about my dog. She's actually they say never work with children and animals, and I can see why. So yeah, on to the more important matter of West Ham. Really, really good performance from just about all of them there yesterday. Pellegrini's system in the last 2 games, as they're kind of getting used to it. Something's clicked. There's been a little spark. We're just taken off. It's just started to happen. They finally kind of bought into what he's all about, how his philosophy is, how he's trying to play, and the results now are hopefully going to start speaking to themselves. I know it's only 2 games, but to me, just watching those last 2 games and the solidity and how we're playing as a team, it's a major step change from where we've been from the early part of the season. So yeah, this is going to be a positive your shout, because it's this is the start of something. I really honestly believe that. Just quickly going through the players one by one. Fabianski I thought was absolutely superb, and he's proven to be quite a shrewd sign actually. 7 million for somebody who's probably just about at their peak now. He's was good business. He's really confident as well. I can't remember a keeper that I've personally had as much confidence in probably since Ludo. I think he's exudes more confidence than Green did, or even Xhaka did. The old Fabianski tag that he had from Arsenal he's put that to bed well and truly, because he's a fairly commanding keeper without being wildly vocal. But he is now building this understanding with his defence, which is absolutely critical and absolutely sort of key to the defensive unit. And he's a good shot stopper, and he's brave. I mean, I think that was proof yesterday when he came out and took one right in the mush. That he will put himself about in goal, but he just, everything sticks with him. He's got a very very safe pair of hands, and I think I could see why Swansea were raving over him. To be honest, if they hadn't had him in goal last season, I reckon they'd have been down before Christmas, because I don't know how many points that man was worth to him, but he's a really, really good keeper, and I'm really, really pleased. And I don't think there'll be any chopping and changing this season with Adrian coming back in for a few games and blah blah blah. It won't happen. He's our number 1, and he's earned that right from what I can see. Then we look at our defence. I thought Zabaleta, I mean, you wouldn't have known yesterday he was 33. Them old legs were going 10 to the dozen, and he was so solid. He was using all his experience. He's definitely suited to a flat back 4, not as a wing back. He hasn't got the legs for a wing back, but he can play that role. And hopefully them old legs keep on going till the end of the season. I mean, Fredericks can learn a lot from him. Would you imagine Fredericks will play on Wednesday? But to me, Zaba would still be the number 1 name on the team sheet in that position there going forwards. And who knows, if those old legs keep on going, we may get a year's extension out of him, and we get him into next season. But he just had so much calmness and experience and positioning, and that little bit of leadership which I mentioned in a previous your shout that we've not had. He's kind of solidifying that defensive unit. Then you got my mate Balbuena, and I wasn't going to say that I called it probably from the first time I saw him that I think he's going to be a cracking centre half, but I would actually say I called it at the very first time I saw him play. He's another player. He's kind of developing. The more we see him, the more he's looking like the clips you see on the YouTube clips of when he was playing in Brazil or wherever it was we got him from. He kind of reads the game well, and I'd never ever put anybody in the in the realms of Bobby Moore, because Bobby Moore was unique. But Bobby Moore had this ability to see a picture or see the game, a bit like a chess match. But Bobby Moore would be 2 moves ahead. Balbuena's not 2 moves ahead, but he's probably 1 move ahead. And we had 3 or 4 instances yesterday where he, in the first half, he was picking the attacker's pocket. Giroud on a couple of occasions, I think Hazard on a couple of occasions, where he was just nipping in and mopping up and taking balls away from him before there was even a danger there. Absolutely brilliant. As is Diop. Now, I was a little bit concerned about Diop when I saw him on pre-season, and I thought he would take a long time to settle in, and pleasantly, I think he settled in really, really quickly. He's an absolute beast. He's a monster. He's a big old unit. But again, he's got a good touch. What I like about him, he doesn't go diving in. He's what I class as a sensible defender. I'd put him. I think somebody like him at his age, at 21, within a year or so, he's going to be pushing the likes of Varane and I forget the guy's name at Barcelona, but he's going to be pushing them for a France starting position. He's potentially that good. You can see why they paid big money for him and why he's rated, and it's just great to see the partnership with him and Balbuena now starting to take shape and starting to understand one another, and it's paying dividends. And then we've got my mate Masuaku. Now I have knocked him, but again I thought he looked quite solid yesterday. They're obviously doing a lot of work with him on a training pitch, because he's actually looking more like a defender. He still worries me a little bit. I think there was an instance on the byline yesterday where he kind of nearly lost it in quite a dangerous position, but he kind of redeemed himself. But his positional play is a lot better, and obviously he can run the ball out, and I still say he's better going forward, and he's probably better as a wing back. But he's learning to defend, and he didn't look like a weak link in that defence yesterday. I thought he did well, and fair play with him, because I say I've knocked him in the past, but I'll praise him when I think it's due, and I thought he did really, really well. We then come on to our midfield 3, and what is pleasing is the Pellegrini is now he's got this system sussed. This 4-3-3. I don't see a way back in there for Wilshere, to be honest, and I think a lot of our defensive issues weren't solely down to Wilshere, but he wasn't working like the 3 in there are doing at the moment. And you look at Obiang, he didn't do anything brilliant, he didn't do anything magical. There was no defence splitting passes, but he worked his nuts off. I'd like to know what kind of mileage he covered, because he was just shutting space down, shutting people down. He just didn't stop running, and he was superb again. He was superb in the previous game against Everton. He was absolutely superb again yesterday. This was Noble. Excuse me. Again, Noble, not the quickest anymore, but again, put some mileage in. Running space down, but doing it intelligently and using his brain. He was... it was just really, really good, and he'll never, he's coming towards the end of his career. He's never going to run around like a 20-year-old, but he uses that experience, and he still put a shift in, and he did really, really well. And then Declan Rice was again another one. He was kind of interchanging, particularly with Obiang, but to some degree with Noble as well. They were covering each other's backs, and excuse me. What I really liked about, or really do like about Rice, is the fact that because he's got this defensive mentality, he's very quick to sort of drop in and cover the defenders as well. But they're just the interplay between the 3 of them, and they just know what each other's doing. They're on the same page, on the same same wavelength, and they're covering each other and working as a unit. And that's what we want, and that is what's made such a huge difference. The early games of the season where we had these great big, gaping holes in midfield and getting raped and pillaged through, and this huge expanse between the between the sort of like the midfield and the defence, this gap. That gap's gone. That they're working with the defence as a unit. They're dropping back. They're looking solid, and for Chelsea not to be able to find a way through, I thought was absolutely brilliant. Rice again, I say, he reads the game a bit like Balbuena does, but it's absolutely imperative now that Gold and Sullivan get Rice and his agent into a room and get him to sign a contract. You can't compare him with Reece Oxford, and I know Oxford was on a lot of money, but you're comparing apples with fish. They're different things completely. Rice is a composed, level-headed footballer that's going to go to the top. Oxford has lost his way, and he'll never be a top-class Premiership player. It ain't going to happen, and they can't draw comparisons and parallels between them. Rice is worth every penny of 30 grand. He's probably worth every penny of 40 grand, and if they don't get him signed up, he hasn't got an allegiance to West Ham. He's got an allegiance to his career, and if a Liverpool or a Man United or a Real Madrid, I'm not saying that they would come in for him, but a team of that stature coming from a supposedly bigger, better team than us, and offer him 50, 60, 70 grand, he'll be gone. And I think we need to move quickly, get him in on whatever it may be, 30, 40, even 40 grand a week. Diop, I don't know what he's on. He's probably on about 65, 70 maybe. He's 2 years older. But because we've bought him and given him the pay to go with it. So let's reward Rice accordingly. Because if we lose him, we're going to be paying a damn sight more than that, plus the transfer fee to get somebody in who can do that kind of job that he can do, and the years ahead that he can deliver that role for us. With a big buyout clause, so if one of the big superpowers comes in, they've got to pay absolute top dollar for him. Because I think at the moment, without getting him signed, we're playing with fire a bit, and it is worrying because he's such a good player. Anyway, moving on. Anderson, I thought, did okay. I'd like to see him on the ball a bit more. He showed some flashes of absolute brilliance again, one or two lovely little touches, but for 42 million, I want somebody who's a bit more involved. And he comes in, he drifts in and out of games, but I want more from him because I know he can deliver more. He's a good player and he's getting better every week. So hopefully that progression continues, and maybe he's just a bit slow at developing to the pace of the Premier League than somebody like Diop. But he's he's got all the makings of being a real superstar player, and he did well, worked hard. Probably a little bit unfortunate to get tagged when he did and pulled off, but he had a good game. Yarmolenko, I thought, had a good game. Nothing. I didn't think it was brilliant. To me, it wasn't a man of the match performance. I think if you're playing against Chelsea and a team that were unbeaten, if they don't win the Europa League, they're going to come very, very close. They're still one of the better teams in Europe, even though they're not playing Champions League this year. But just that attack, that strike force they've got as well, to keep them quiet, for me, a man of the match was either going to be a defender, the keeper, or maybe a midfielder. I personally wouldn't give it to Yarmolenko. I don't know who the match sponsor was. Might have been a Ukrainian salt company or something that were the match sponsors yesterday that gave it to him. But not a man of the match performance for me. And as for that header, oh my word, I can't believe he missed that. I reckon Milan Nan could have scored that. It was such a shame, because if that had gone in, we would have nicked that, and we would all absolutely been delirious, wouldn't we? If that just gone the right side of the post as opposed to the wrong side. So he did a right, Yarmolenko, but it wasn't a man of match performance as far as I was concerned. And then it brings us on to Antonio, and I'm not going to dwell too much on Antonio. He's not the Antonio of old. He's lost that aggressive, explosive power and pace. He's got a diabolical touch. He worked hard, but the more I see him, the more he just looks like a Championship player. And I think if January, if an opportunity comes to get rid, let him go, let him try and resurrect his career somewhere else, because we're never ever going to see the old Antonio that got Hammer of the Year in a claret and blue shirt again. It's not going to happen. It's a shame, but we move on. And with obviously Arnie out, and I was a little bit worried when the team sheet came out that he was missing. And again, testament to what the performance was, that we actually held him. But with him out, with Hernandez sick, we have nothing up front. All right, Carroll's going to come back, but he's going to come back for about 30 seconds. Then he'll be Croxton gone again for another 6 months, and then that's the end of him. So we can't rely on him. Perez doesn't instill me with confidence at all. I just don't. He didn't do very much when he came on, and he hasn't kind of got that spark. I don't think. I don't see him as a top flight striker, and I think we do need to invest in that area. But having said that, the first 11 that started yesterday, that was a good performance. Littleworth for Snodgrass. I love Snodgrass. I just think don't be at all surprised. Actually, you heard it here first. He gets Player of the Year this year. I think he's liked and respected by his peers. Wonderful little ball that he put in for Yarmolenko to miss that header, and he does a job. He's not a fussy player. He's a good one. I like Snodgrass. Might be in a minority, but hey ho. So all in all, though, bloody good performance. Over the moon with that performance, really, and I think it puts us in good stead. We're now a unit. We're now harder to beat. Then people can't drive a coach and horses through our midfield and our defence. I think going into the Macclesfield game, there are probably a lot of second string players out there, and hopefully got something to prove. I don't see it be a problem. We may have a few big guns on the bench that we can bring on, but I would hope that we would roll them over quite easily with this new found confidence and playing style. And I think we're going to get something against Man U at the weekend. Might be a draw, but with Arnie's fit, I reckon we could sneak 3 points, because they're no great shakes at the moment. And then we've got the Scum, so hopefully we can turn them over as well. And then we're up onto a little run of easier games, or on paper easier games. There's no such thing as an easy game, but we should start getting some points, and we should start climbing that table just in the right sort of time, really. So all in all, very, very positive yesterday. Really happy, and things like that. Just, I don't know, it kind of makes your weekend, doesn't it? And it sets me up for the week. A good victory. So I've had 2 relatively good weeks. And that's probably about it for me. I'm not going to bore you anymore. Just gone over 18 minutes. So onwards and upwards, and come on, you Irons.